allow me to mute my.
We're live and Melissa is alive.
A great shirt.
All right. So I'm gonna minimize this screen. And okay, perfect. Hello, everyone. What an absolute treat this is. We are streaming live right now to our Real Pride YouTube page. So no messing up, right? Listen, my name is Sherry Swift, and I am absolutely honored to be the president of the Real Pride Network. And I am even more honored to have the opportunity to host this panel of absolute badassery today. Like around me right now is some of the most outstanding she power that you could possibly imagine. So I am grateful and excited to have this conversation. I love female talk, female empowerment, and female conversation about all the things that make us whole and that sometimes can tear us apart. So I want to first say thank you for participating to all the ladies who are on the panel. And I think we'll start with some introductions. So how about we start? I'm going to just ask that if you know that you are on the panel, how about you jump in and give us a little introduction of just who you are, your name, and how you bring light into the world through your work. So let's get started. I think I'll start with Irvin.
Hi, my name's Irvin. I'm a broker in the Seattle Puget Sound area. I am an out and proud trans woman. Just excited to be surrounded by a lot of female power. I actually just started my transition last year, so this is actually my first Women's History Month as an out trans woman. I'm very honored to be here. I've been in real estate since 2014, and so I'm very excited to just kick back and hang out with my sisters.
Yes, we are super grateful and excited to have you here. Thank you for being here. Mitty.
Oh, I knew I was next somehow. Sherry, thank you for that. My name is Mitty Matthews. I'm out of Michigan, Lower Michigan, actually, Ann Arbor area. I've been practicing real estate since 2012. I'm with a very small brokerage called the Moore Group. We just really strive to make sure that everybody is super happy or super miserable. We don't like the middle ground at all. We want to make sure that everybody's on one edge or the other. And we do great business. So you can move on to that next person.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Gina.
Well, hello, everybody. It's great to see all of you. So happy to be a part of this panel. I am sitting on the slopes in Whistler, British Columbia, as you could see. I am with Engel and Volker's Whistler. And I imagine I'm surrounded by a number of veterans in the real estate industry. I am actually newish to real estate. I've been doing it for under 3 years. So I may bring a unique perspective in that I'm the freshman, so I may get hazed a little bit today as well. But I am also a dual citizen. I was born in the US. And so one of my specialties up here is working with Americans, which we get a lot of investors and people coming from when the border used to be open. Yeah, I'm just excited to be here. I'm loving real estate. I also do creative stuff on the other side. So it's been a nice blend of creativity and I love real estate. I always have. And I enjoy helping people find home, the space of home. So yeah, I'm enjoying the journey so far.
Well, welcome into the industry and welcome to the panel today.
Thank you.
Kim. Can't hear you, Kim.
You know, this is like my 10th Zoom this week. You would think that I know how to work the control. I actually taught a class yesterday on how to use Zoom. And here I am. I mean, how embarrassing is that? Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Marie Mullen. I'm in the industry now for 20 plus years, which is crazy. How am I still alive? I have no idea. But I am a licensed broker. I service New York and Connecticut. I own my own brokerage. It's called Hudson and Sound Brokerage. What else? I live in my little coastal Connecticut bungalow with my partner, Michelle, and our 4 rescue dogs, Penny, Haven, Ryder, and Bodie.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kim. I appreciate you participating. Good to get to know you. Susan.
Hi. Well, first of all, thank you very much for hosting this, Sherry, and thanks to Real Pride for putting it together. It's great to see some familiar faces. We'd usually be hanging out under a palm tree at a poolside, but we haven't done that for a while, so this is fantastic. I am Susan Cameron, and I am in beautiful Vancouver, British Columbia, just down the road from Gina. And I was with Coldwell Banker for 18 years. I've been licensed since 2003. And just a few months ago, our brokerage decided to merge with McDonald Realty, which is the largest independently owned real estate company in Western Canada. They've been around since 1944, owned and operated by a woman. So that's kind of cool. So just transitioning into a new brokerage, but everything else is the same. Same service, same city, same me. It's all good.
That's fantastic. Change is change, right? It's all good. Well, welcome to the panel. Melissa.
G'day.
Good morning.
How's everybody? Good morning.
Good. Great to see you.
For those of you who've just joined, I am Melissa Temple. I usually live in Aspen, Colorado, but I'm currently in Sydney, Australia. And since America went on daylight saving, it means my day starts at 2 a.m. now, not 3 a.m., which was so much better. So I have been up for a while. I'm ready for a cocktail myself. So I'm with Engel & Volkers in Aspen, Colorado. I service the whole valley. I have clients all over the world, and I do my very best not to lose my Aussie accent, which is so important because it really helps sell. I'm also the president of Aspen Out, which is a nonprofit in Aspen that puts on the world's largest nonprofit gay ski week in the world. Obviously, we didn't have it this year. I'm hoping we have it next year. And I'd love to see a lot more women attending that. We raise a lot of money for a lot of good.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah.
Thanks for getting up early for us this morning.
Of course, I get up early for women all the time, honey. That's what I do. That's what I do.
Nice.
Love it. Love it. Nikki.
How are you?
I'm excellent. How are you, Nikki? It's wonderful to see you.
It's great to be here. I just want to point out this is the closest thing I could find to purple. I think it kind of is. I just pulled myself out of bed. I got my second Moderna shot yesterday. Needless to say, I've been riding the struggle bus since about 11 o'clock last night. So I was able to pull myself up out of bed. I did take a quick bath just in case you guys were wondering. And I couldn't live. But anyway, I'm in Washington, D.C. I'm licensed in D.C., Maryland, Virginia. I am with Sotheby's International Realty, and I deal mostly in a luxury market and with a lot of international clients, specifically the Middle East, but money is green wherever it comes from. I'm super down. So, yeah, and I was in Louisiana for a few years, went for love, stayed a little longer for golf weather, and came back to Washington full time about 1.5 years ago.
Okay. All right. Well,
And
thank
it feels
you for,
great to be home.
yeah, well, thank you for dragging yourself out of bed for us. And I understand not feeling good. So we appreciate you being here today.
My
Thank you
pleasure.
for that. Yeah. Way to get that vaccine. I'm in line. I'm like, somebody better shoot me with something in a minute.
Yeah, well, apparently it was announced today that we are sending some to our best friends in Canada and our friends in Mexico, AstraZeneca. But
Yeah.
so yeah, it's on its way, Canada.
Thank you.
All right. Wonderful.
Appreciate it.
Wonderful. And then finally, I think the last person on our panel here today, last but certainly not least, is Babs. Hey, Babs.
Hey, Sherry. Hey, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great. You're moving around. Tell us who you are and what you're up to and all that good stuff.
Well, I'm out delivering Girl Scout cookies to all of my best customers, not for Girl Scouts, but for real estate, because I'm secretary of the board of Girl Scouts for the state. And I always buy a shite load of cookies and take them to my center of influence, my VIP clients, as Sherry would say. And they love that. So I had to Zoom on the phone and in the car. I have been in the business almost 40 years full time. And I am in the top 500 of 10,000 agents every year in sales. I'm a working broker. I own my own company, and I have 24 agents that work for me. And I was the very first out realtor in the state of Utah all those years ago, back in 1984. And I love what I do. And I love Sherry and her wife.
Oh, well, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate being able to be on the road with you while you deliver your Girl Scout cookies today. So listen,
Yay. I love
yay. So we have a lot of people who are just going to kind of come in and hang out with us, but that's our panel. So we want to move forward in our conversation today. So here's how it goes, ladies. I'm going to throw a question or two or 5 or 6 out. And when I throw the question out, I just want you to jump in if it sounds like something that you'd like to contribute to. And I'd like you to contribute to as much as you feel like your little heart's desire, because we have amazing energy on this screen that represents every corner, every dynamic. And I just think it'd be amazing to hear from everyone here. So let's start at the beginning. So as a woman, we have unique challenges in general, right? Just as women. But what unique challenges do you find that you experience within our industry as a result of being a part of the LGBTQ2+ community? So what is it that you find on top of just being a woman that is extremely difficult in our industry participating and working?
Anyone?
I would have to say not much. We have a very, very, very large gay community in the city of Vancouver. And a lot of our local municipal politicians, provincial politicians, and federal politicians are also gay or lesbian. And I would say it's very, very minimum. Maybe the occasional kind of old white guy attitude in the office every once in a while, but that's quickly put to rest. So not much.
Okay.
I'm happy to say.
I would piggyback on what Susan said, and we're not far from her. And Whistler is a really progressive town as well, like a kind of an offshoot of Vancouver in that way. So yeah, it's really like a non-issue in my small market as well.
Yeah, I think going off of them further down I-5 down in Seattle, we are in kind of this liberal bubble, if you will. And I think most of it is, from my perspective as a trans person, is just representation of, I don't see anyone that looks like me or who is like me. Of course, there could be trans people in the real estate community or world here that just aren't out or whatever. But I think that we are pretty much in a kind of a liberal bubble where, honestly, the LGBTQ community has been leading the real estate kind of realm for years. I mean, you look at like HGTV, like those quintessential examples of who do you want to go to for real estate, and it's our community. So yeah, I definitely feel that.
Because we're fun and we have great design sense.
Okay.
We know how to nest.
I think that's a really important question, though, that Sherry asked, and I think it does come down to geography. I'm from New York. We live in coastal Connecticut, which is on the border of New York. I mean, I get hop, skip, and a jump to the city. So in these areas, you don't really experience that. But we were corporately reload down to the DC metro area for 2 years down south. And I will tell you, we lived in Virginia. And we had a lot of friends in Virginia, West Virginia, and their experience as a gay professional was very, very different. And we were so surprised Everywhere we went, people thought we were sisters. And that was just a very unusual kind of reaction as two professional women in real estate down south. It was just, not as much in DC. Obviously, DC is different. But, you go outside of DC and you go a little low there, you're in the South. And I have to say the opinions there were very, very different, not just about women, but, gay women, bi women, trans women. It was just, their attitudes are different. That we had friends that were still in the closet. And that was such a shock to us, where they were in real estate, they were partners, and no one knew they were together. And they were so surprised when we were out and about acting like, a couple, and we have been together for years, but still they didn't have that same kind of level of comfort in those areas. And we were very, luckily we love DC. Sorry, Nikki, we do love DC, but we were really happy when they corporately reload us back up north.
Hearing you call DC the South is so funny, because I just came back from South Louisiana. That is the South.
Sure. But when you're from New York, anything below New York,
so we're south of the Mason-Dixon line, but in Washington, we definitely are in a bubble, especially in certain pockets of Washington. Obviously, some are going to be than others, but South Louisiana, it was definitely a little more precarious to navigate how out you were. And I I came out at 15, so, which was a lot of years ago. My biggest obstacle is remembering all the LGBTQ.
The letters, yeah.
When I came out, we were gay, straight, bi, trans. So I'm confused as an old lesbian now, but it is.
Who are you calling old?
I know it's us.
You're not old.
But I think especially in the luxury market in Washington, as it relates to being female or male and gay, it's gay men have a big corner on the luxury market here. So that's I'm from here, so I did the back and forth thing to Louisiana. But when I came back full time, let's just say they all know my name. Yeah. It's Mama Sony.
I think it depends too, maybe sometimes where you place yourself in the community as well. Regardless of whom I meet, whether it's a referral or someone that I meet directly, it's not necessarily, hi, I'm Susan, I'm your lesbian realtor.
Yeah, totally.
There's many, many, many other attributes I would like to, maybe talk about first. But I have been, involved in the gay community for so long, sponsoring in every pride guide, in every gay and lesbian paper there's been around for years. So it's not really something that I have to say. And if somebody doesn't know, it's like, oh, well, let's just do business together.
Absolutely. It's interesting. The reason why it's one of my questions is, I think that a lot of you know that I'm a performance coach. I work with a lot of realtors. And, I sometimes have the opportunity to work with someone who is newer, not very often, but newer to the industry. And I have conversations with, I've had a few with women who say, Sherry, I really respect how you live your life, how you are who you are so publicly, how everyone knows who you are. And I just don't know how that's going to impact my business. I'm in Michigan, and you would think someone who's in Michigan or someone who's in different, areas that I serve, that they wouldn't have this concern, but they do. And they're very concerned. So my conversation, and these are younger people. So my conversation is, listen, work your people and pull your people in that appreciate you. But are you surprised that this would still be a concern for people that are new and younger that are coming into the industry?
No, I'm not surprised at all. I think it's a very interesting world to navigate, because, my sexuality and lack of sex, well, that's another story. But anyway, my sexuality doesn't come to play into the type of service I provide. Anybody that knows me obviously knows, but I also don't start a conversation with, hi, I'm Nikki, your lesbian realtor.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think we do have to navigate, multiple worlds, because you don't want to alienate anyone. We have felt alienated for many reasons over the course of the years. So I just make it about the business. I don't make it about who I'm sleeping with.
Right.
Actually, Sherry, I have a funny story.
Yeah, please share.
I had a client who referred someone to me. He's a good Christian guy in his 70s from Florida. Carries a Bible around. That's how Christian he is. Anyway, he called me up and he said, "Have you got a minute to talk to someone who might be interested in buying real estate?" And I said, "Sure." I pulled my car over, and he said to this guy, "Now this is Melissa. She's absolutely fantastic, and she thanks, and she's a very good friend. And I'll just keep trying, shall I?"
Yeah,
So
yeah,
anyway,
there you go.
he introduces me like that, and I thought, "Oh my God, no one's ever done that before." And the gentleman on the other end, who I had no idea who he was about to spend $12 million, said, "You know what, Melissa, we have something in common." I said, "What's that?" He said, "We both like women." And that's how he took it, which I was just floored because I just didn't know what to expect.
That's
So
amazing.
sometimes people can surprise you.
You know, and I think that's the beauty of staying open to, and I think a big part of the reason why so many of these people come to me with this concern is because they're concerned about the level of stupidity that we just saw 5 seconds ago, right? And so what happens, right? I mean, this was like the timing couldn't have been any better.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing. Actually,
Right? But the timing couldn't have been any better, where I say, what in the world would be the problem in 2021? And why would people even be concerned about this? And then these morons come in and it's like, ta-da, this is why, right? So, you know, I think that we just fight. We fight for the belief system that there is still more intelligence and good out there, and that we have more in common than we don't. And then thank goodness we have controls for things like this.
Right.
So,
It's like I mean, we've seen it all. We've heard way worse. Like
oh my gosh. Yeah,
please,
exactly right.
please.
Even though I'm in a
Exactly.
progressive market and it's really a non-issue, I still like to subtly come out early on in a new relationship with a client. Just mention my wife, or just, because I think it disarms people. I think people appreciate it. It builds trust, like, because you're being vulnerable in a way, even though you're just saying casually. And I think that if, I keep always reminding myself, we get to choose our clients as much as they choose us. And so if somebody's going to have a problem with it, I wouldn't want to work with them anyway. And so might as well just get that out of the way before dinner,
I love that, Gina. I think I feel the same way. I think I start every conversation with, "Hi, my name is Sherry. My wife's name is Tina." And then right after I say that, I like look in their face like this. I'm like, "Hi, my name is Sherry and my wife's name is Tina." Because I'm like, and what are you going to say? How are you going to respond to that? Because it helps me to understand whether or not they possess the energy that I want to go forward with, if that makes sense. Yeah.
What if you don't have a wife, Sherry?
If I might be.
I'm Melissa and I'm looking for a wife.
Yeah, my name is Melissa. Who you know?
Really cute friends.
Sherry, if I can just add something, when you're asking about how it may affect us as women in our immediate workplace or offices, as it were, and I think my fellow realtor Sue Scott might agree with this, we have a very large gay realtor population in the Lower Mainland. And when I got my license back in 2003, there was a little bit of the old, a gay attitude. And it was primarily our lovely male friends, but that has completely shifted, changed. It doesn't exist anymore, but back then it did.
Very true.
Back then, not just in the workplace, even in a bar, you would feel like, there was a separation between women.
Yes.
But that was the same. That was the same as women coming into the real estate industry. Men were a bit like, excuse me, it's a boys' club. But that's all gone now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's working its way out. Babs, did you have something?
Yeah, I have a different perspective in the sense that I live in Utah, not known for its gay rights at all. It's a theocracy here. However, I'm a lesbian apparently, and I'm one of the most famous people here in town. So everyone knows that I'm gay. I don't have to deal with that very often at all. What's more important to me is my clients and presenting offers for my clients when it says 2 women or 2 men as the buyers. And sometimes I'll get pushback from ignorant agents, but most of the time it's almost like they want to work with me because it's the cool thing, like, oh, I have a gay friend or a gay realtor, or my clients are gay, kind of thing. Most important though, they can say whatever they want about me or not choose to work with me. I'm going to fight for my clients' rights and make sure I'm representing them in the best way, and that discrimination doesn't become part of any issue that we're dealing with in real estate.
Yeah, good. Great input. I mean, yeah, Utah, right? And so, so I have another question here. So how do you differentiate yourself in this industry? You know, this industry that is primarily women. What do you do to differentiate yourself and to attract the type of client that you want, if you don't mind sharing?
Socialize, just dangle yourself at the right events, be in the right places. You know, it's your network. It's who you hang out with. And once you are performing at a high level, people appreciate that and they share you with their friends. So that's really, it's, you know, be philanthropic, you know, get involved in the community, get involved in the fundraisers. This has been a difficult year as far as networking to that degree because, well, you know, everything was canceled. So no opportunities to put on gowns this past year. But really that's it. It's through association and what's the lifestyle that you live. Birds of a feather in all aspects of life tend to flock together. So it's really just kind of social networking.
For you, it's social networking big time. Gotcha.
For sure.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to add to that. I think that Nikki's onto something. She said not just social networking, but give back, you know, and I think what you really want to do is find something that is organically something you do and feed it, you know, like one of my biggest things is we bike ride. You all call it bike ride. We cycle, we race, we do all sorts of stuff. And from that, when I got back into that community, I jumped on board and started giving to the race directors. I'm like, what do you guys need? You know, here's some money. Here's, you know, so I did a lot of sponsorships for the races. And within the year I had, you know, everybody knew who I was. Everybody knew that I was somebody who supported the races. More race directors were coming to me for, you know, more support and, you know, what do you need? Tape? What do you need? You know, anything, things for the goodie bags, water bottles, you know, I'm like, I shoved it at them and I'm getting probably most of my business from that. But, you know, with the follow-up, you've got to make sure that you're doing your job so well because now all these people know who you are. You have to bring your A game. You know, there's no B game if you want to continue that and keep that ball rolling. But once you've got it rolling, I mean, it's easy. Again, we've had a whole year of no races. So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I've done a lot of deals with the bike community. So still,
Yeah.
you know, find what you're good at and what you like to do and just dive in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think to piggyback back off of that, so I'm in a unique situation where I am more of an on the operations side. I'm doing a lot of transaction management for my office. I do some deals on the side, but I think that when I was in the field full time, it was the best way that I got clients was just living my most and best authentic self. Because I think that in general, the more that you project that, you're going to attract people, not only clients, but other professionals that you were gonna vibe with and that are gonna give you that energy that you're giving out into the world. Because I think it's really important to take into account the, you know, emotional capital that you're putting out there, that making sure that you're getting it back. And I think that just living your most authentic life and doing the things that you love to do is a form of protest and is a form of just being out there and being proud, and you never know who's listening or who's watching. And so I think that is kind of the best way to go about it, and things tend to fall into place that way. Yeah, that's kind of been my experience.
I would also say that it is, they're desperate for advertisers everywhere. And every nonprofit seems to have a newsletter. I advertise in so many things that only cost like $50 a month for my ad. And so my name is everywhere possible, not just with the LGBTQ plus community, but the community in general, all types of ads, but specifically marketing like the Acoustic Music Association. So I have bad banjo jokes in my ads. I mean, just things that get noticed. Humor works, obviously social media works. And I have for almost 40 years been sending out a newsletter that I write every month that is kind of corny, but also is very informative, and people love the newsletter. And I'll be glad to send you all a copy of my silly newsletter, but I can't tell you how popular my darn newsletter is. I get so many calls and so many referrals off of it, and it keeps people in their face every 30 days, and they don't forget me. And I get a call every couple of days because of my newsletter or because of my ads. So it works. Just do it, and do it everywhere you can.
Great. I think for me, I've never been a secret agent or an undercover agent. I've always kept everything the same in one place. I've never had any kind of separate business pages and personal. For me, I've just been always just out there. This is what I do. This is who I am. I'm a very private person, but most people wouldn't know that because I've been very deliberate at, what I put out there. So everyone always thinks I'm sharing everything, but I'm able to keep some of my private stuff, but also make everyone feel like they're a part of my life. And again, social media has been, amazing with that, especially during this time. But prior to that, I was always everywhere, Women's Council, every kind of networking group you can imagine, on the boards. So I always try to put myself out. And then also, I think community, I think that's the big one. Getting involved in your community is huge. And being passionate about that and being authentic. So I think everything everyone has said is really the key way to differentiate yourself. I teach the broker class and the licensing class for Connecticut for salespeople. And because of the pandemic, a lot of people have been furloughed and lost their jobs. So everyone thinks, oh, get rich quick, get into real estate, right? So I literally, you'd be surprised, since March, my Zoom, I have 100 new students every 14 weeks since March. So that's how many people are coming into the industry right now. And I mean, I can take one look at them and know 85% of them are not going to really, do well in this business. It's just not going to happen. And I want to say to them, just leave right now, because it's just not going to happen for you, unfortunately. Right. But those who really stay and really put it out there and really work hard, this is such a hard job. It really is. It's very fulfilling, but this is a tough industry to be in, really tough. So I think consistency, putting yourself out there, and obviously you can probably tell by me, I'm a New Yorker, I'm not shy. Talk to everybody. Every single person you meet. I mean, my Uber drivers are always like, get out of the car, because I'll sit there and I'll say, give me a referral before I leave, So talk to everybody. And I think that's another way to differentiate yourself, because it's almost like people don't want people to know what they do for a living sometimes. And you can't do that in our business.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me ask you this, social media in 2020 and 21, it was a bit of a challenge. Yeah. Here's what I'll tell you. As a coach, and as a person who represents people that are stretched out across cultures and brands for over 20 years, I learned a lot about a lot of people that were on social media during 2020, and even going into 2021. How did you navigate social media during George Floyd, during Black Lives Matter, during the Trump era, during the political challenge? How did you maneuver that? Did you get involved in it? Did you keep yourself out of it? Talk to me a little bit about how you managed that.
I marched. I was downtown in the marches and was Facebook Live and videoing from down there. I was at a lot of the Trump stuff, and I try to stay as apolitical as a person possibly can because I'm in Washington. So it can be, you just have to, again, not alienate anyone, but still be true to yourself. So, during the insurrection, I was slamming on social media. I couldn't hold it in, but I was down marching. I was participating. It's time.
Yeah.
We have to take a stand.
It's funny. It's interesting, isn't it? It's kind of like you stand in this middle place where you're like, this is so important and this is so important to me. Do I take a stand? Because, I've always said to people as their coach, like 50% of the people that could possibly be your clients are going to agree with you and 50% are going to disagree with you. So when you do take a stand for something, make sure it's something that is absolutely non-negotiable for you, because you are going to eliminate 50% of the people. So I appreciate that, Nikki. And I had to take a stand on a couple of things this past year or so, but it's been interesting. How did the rest of you guys navigate it? Did you find yourselves in any interesting situations? And talk to me about that a little bit.
I'm outspoken and I took a stand always. I always take a stand. I can't even help myself. I'm just like, and my wife is like, well, you're going to alienate some people. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't want them. I don't want those people to come and bring their business to me. They're not going to want to do business with me. We're not going, if they're that adamant about, hating my people, then we're not going to do good business together. There's no surprise there, So I have to take a stand. It's just who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to be very cognizant of how I interacted with people online. And there are some days where I would correct people and I would take the time to educate people. And there are some days where I was like, I just can't do it today. And that's totally okay. And I think that I had to really evaluate, yes, my priority is always giving myself and my safety and my mental health. I love educating people and I love telling people about my story and my community, but sometimes I just don't want to mess with it, and that's totally fine. I think it's just, yeah, I mean, I always make a point, unless someone's like deliberately attacking me, I've never unfriended anyone. I've never really blocked anyone. I want them to see my success. I want them to see how I'm doing. You can unfollow me. I've obviously blocked a few people, they're just totally over the top, but I want them to see my success and see my story and see how I'm living and see my point of view and see that I post and I'm very outspoken, but I'm not necessarily engaging in people who are participating in hateful rhetoric, and especially like with the new NAR code of ethics, and that brings up a whole other topic of our cohort of people wanting to be allowed to participate in hate speech, and that's been another topic that's been discussed a lot, I think, in our industry. So
Yeah, I appreciate that. Listen, I've always said, you can't infiltrate it if you're not inside of it. You can't impact it if you don't infiltrate it, and you have to be inside of it to really change the way people think about it. So sometimes you have to stay in a space that you're uncomfortable in, right? With that, how are you managing your mental health, ladies? We've been through a pandemic. We are still in a pandemic. There's a lot that's happened in the world. Our lifestyles have changed. How's your mental health, and what are you doing to take care of it and to maintain it?
this isn't water.
That's so
Good. Neither is this.
Melissa's on the Grey Goose.
Not this early, I must say. But I will say about my mental health, living alone and being sort of in lockdown and all that sort of thing. I got a Peloton December before the pandemic. And thank God I did. That was my best friend, and those women who give those classes, they kept me going. So through the pandemic, I lost 20 pounds and I got so into cycling, I bought a $10,000 Bianchi, and that's all I do now. That's my mental health.
Mitty, did you hear she said cycling, not biking?
I did appreciate that. That was
Well, that's what we Aussies say. So
Was that
It's
right?
okay. We cycle in Vancouver as well.
It's great.
But I think
actually bought it.
staying active is so important. I mean, otherwise you turn to the alcohol, and I really cut it back. I just would have 1 or 2 cocktails a night and just the 1 bottle of wine with dinner. So it was, I minimized that, which was great. So I'm much healthier than I was pre-pandemic.
Well, I unintentionally more or less gave up alcohol. It wasn't something that I planned. When our top health official, Dr. Bonnie Henry, declared it a pandemic in British Columbia, that day I happened to be out in a restaurant with a couple of friends, and that was one of the last times that I had numerous cocktails in a row, and I can probably count how many I've had since then. But that was a choice because I knew it was a dark hole that would have been really easy to go down. So I live near the water. I live near Stanley Park. So lots and lots of outdoor time, lots of walking, and it's an easy way to social distance with people as well. Although my bubble's very, very small other than work. Here with working, it's mask, gloves, booties, wipes, sanitizer. That's pretty much my only exposure. And a lot of Zooming just with friends around the world, which has been really cool. Everybody's reconnected in ways that we hadn't connected before.
Did you lose my number, Susan? Did you lose it? Do you want it again?
No, but I was watching you cycling in the hotel room.
You see.
I would agree that exercise has been such a huge player in just maintaining, good mental health. Peloton is just the greatest gift from the universe, in my opinion. And also, creative outlets I find are also great ways to distract yourself and just you really become immersed in creative stuff. So I started trying to paint and different mediums that I've never used before, and those challenges were really fun and a good distraction too.
I think for me, I have to agree with everyone. Fresh air. I'm all about the outdoors, and I live on the beach. So with 4 dogs, time flew by, and I'm one of those people too. I like to be alone. So I know a lot of people were very, very lonely during this time, and for me, I like my alone time. So it was actually a break for me from the busyness, because I was nonstop prior to this, and it was always something. And it was for me, it was kind of a nice time to sort of be alone and regroup and reevaluate things. And that was not just my business, but relationships in my life, and things that I was choosing to do to entertain myself. I need a Peloton. I literally have not exercised since March. I need to get on some kind of program, but I do a lot of walking, and I do spend a lot of time with the dogs. And I tell everyone when they tell me that they're sad or depressed, daylight savings time is here. It's going to lighten up and brighten up. I just Wandify just to keep it, keep everything happy, and putting yourself in spaces that make you happy. I listen to more music now at home than I did before. So trying to find things that just keep the, sparking joy in my life. I cleaned out my closet, got rid of a bunch of clothes, just things like that just keep you feeling, like you're doing something. I mean, my social media, gone down the tubes because I'm not dressed up. I don't have an event to go to. It looks like I do nothing. So it's all full of sunsets and dog pictures at this point. That's
Right.
it.
Right.
But,
right.
you gotta make the most of it and show people.
Yeah.
I love what Irvin said. Just live your best life. Put it out there. We're all just trying to struggle. We're all just trying to find things that spark joy to get through the day.
But you know what? I think people love those sunsets because similarly, I've seen a lot more in my city that I probably took for granted or didn't really notice before because you're always rushing from A to B. So I just started taking a lot of photos, and I'm by no means a professional photographer, but I've been getting a lot of feedback about it. I don't like selfies. I'm not going to take a picture of me on the beach. No one cares if it's me on the beach. And so I'm just taking pictures of the city and architecture and nature, and it's been kind of cool. And I think, oh, maybe I need to take a photography class. Maybe that would be kind of interesting in my spare time.
Yeah, I know.
We
Right?
get the occasional selfie, Susan. I mean, just even a corner of your face, just something.
An eyeball.
Do the Melissa eyeball. You've
Like
seen
this.
those.
What are you doing
Exactly.
for yourself, Babs, to maintain your mental health in Utah over there?
I don't think about it much because I work so much, and I play golf, and we have a swimming pool. So in the summer we
cool.
have the pool. Normally we prepare half the summer to get to Burning Man, where we are staff temple guardians there. But that was a big one, not to be able to. We've been going for 15 years, and it's a huge community that we have a massive loss, and we've had to Zoom with fellow guardians who are incredibly depressed that they were not able to go and connect from all around the world. So that's it's more about them and their mental health. And we just added a couple of puppies, and that's helping my wife's mental health. So all's good.
Yeah, yeah, they're beautiful too. What are your tell everyone what your puppies' names are.
They're sisters, and they are miniature Morkies, and their names are Fanny and May.
Fanny and May.
Just had to be.
That's perfect. So listen, women in power now, right? We have so many women that are in power. Why do we think, if we think that women make better CEOs?
Our brains work differently. I think our ability to think with our actual brains is much more significant, but I think women
I think we're naturally empathetic too.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think we show more empathy. I think yeah, we're definitely, I don't want to use this word because it has such a negative connotation, but I think women are born with a natural ability to manipulate, but let's not use the word manipulate.
Multitask.
Or orchestrate. I think we are better multitaskers and orchestrators.
Yeah, I think we mirror better. Maybe that's the word. We mirror.
We kind of bring people together.
Yeah.
We don't posture in the same way, I think. So.
Yeah. I think that we've been grown in this world where we see things so differently. We've had to play so many different roles to get to where we are, and so we get it. We get other people's point of view. You know, as an oppressed group of people, we just understand things from a different perspective. Being able to not just have everything handed to us, and not having to work 2 times harder to make 50 cents on the dollar, and just be able to. It's just how much work it takes to get to even the same place that cis men get to. It just a life experience of what we've had to go through just makes us more prepared to handle anything that's thrown at us, really. Any bump in the road, any hurdle that we have to come across. We've seen it, we've done it. We bought a shirt, okay? Like
I think
I'm not raising a family, but just from observing female friends who are, particularly if they're single moms, the amount that they are able to do in a day is to me quite amazing. And they're on top of their game with work, and they're great moms, and they run great households, and it's quite it's quite a great thing to observe.
It's quite impressive, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it truly is. And I'm excited to watch all the leadership come forward. And has anyone here ever had a bad or a negative experience with a woman in power? And if you could change anything about how women interact professionally, what would that be?
I did. Someone mentioned that they had been or are active members of Women's Council. So, oopsie. Hi, are you still there? There I am. So I became president of the Women's Council here. And the natural progression was, after you're president of the Salt Lake Council, you would be president of the Utah Council of WCR. And the president of the Utah Council, an older Mormon woman, spread the word that she would never allow a lesbian to be president of the Women's Council in the state of Utah. And once I found that out, I resigned from Women's Council. And every year they get all the presidents together for a photo shoot. And every year someone calls me if I want to join. And I say, every year, maybe if you apologize, but that's never going to happen. So what would I do, 20 years ago when that happened? I'm not sure what I could have done at that point. Right now, I don't think it would be an issue, but back then was a very big issue.
Well, being in Women's Council for many years, I was actually the New York State Women's Council of Realtors president, and I am horrified, absolutely horrified to hear that you were treated that way. It's
Mhm.
it's unbelievable to me, because this is supposed to be an
Mhm.
organization that empowers women to support other women. So I'm really so I'll apologize for them.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry. They're
We
idiots.
don't, I still use the network when I can for referrals, but
Yeah.
because I know women in women's council are usually, we call, and now I'm one of them, the old blue hairs. We've been in the business forever and we know what the hell we're doing. So they're generally very trustworthy to use someone in women's council. But yeah, that's just a stab in my heart all these years that happened, and that they don't give a rat about ever changing that, or, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Well,
I think
thank
we
you for that.
celebrate sisterhood here today. That's the whole point of all these screens, all these blocks across the screen here today. We're here to celebrate women's history and all the growth, and it celebrates sisterhood. And in that, we know that it's not always the sisterhood, unfortunately, that holds you up. And sometimes it can be the sisterhood that holds you back and that holds you down. And I think that we would subtract from this platform if we didn't talk about the reality of the fact that sometimes we're not always super excited to see one another win. And when you bump into that, how do you manage that? And then across culture, let's just talk about it. Let's talk about the fact that, as a Black woman, I may have different challenges than someone that might be a Caucasian woman. Then, it's just a little bit different depending upon who you're dealing with. But I think we do have to say out loud and admit that it's not always kumbaya among us. Yes, ladies?
Oh, for me, women have been very mean to me over the years. People always assume I'm much younger than I am. I'll be 50 this year. And people were
Oh my God,
very,
so old.
well, I mean, in the business, people were usually very dismissive. If you look young and they didn't take you seriously and they didn't think you knew what you were doing, and you really had to sometimes fight harder than everybody else to kind of prove that, you were competent and you had the experience. I've come across some very, very, very mean women. And when I managed offices, I had women in my offices that wouldn't even say hello to me for the first 4 months I worked there. But you know what I did? Every day I went in and said, good
Hi.
morning. And every night I said, good night. And those same women, after a few years of me managing them, were the ones who were crying the biggest tears and throwing me my going away party. So I think sometimes you just have to, it hurts. It does hurt. But you can't show it. You got to let it roll off your back, and you just have to be a good person, and you have to show value. When you show other women value, and hard work, they can't take that away from you. They might not like you for whatever reason, and they can be super, super mean. I've never been treated as meanly as I have by men, as I have by women. But you can win them over by being
I
professional.
don't know. Hold on. I got to step in there for a second, because I'm going to tell you, some of my gay brothers can be awfully, awfully horrible in comparison to some women.
Oh, in the industry? In the industry?
Yeah, even in the industry.
Really?
Yeah.
These women are tough. Tough.
Yeah, but we all, we can all be tough with, and to one another, right? I wonder, have you had to walk away from a relationship? Have you had to walk away, ever had to say, I'm just not going to be able to repair this? And I think that as women play this back and they look at this very strong panel of women, because, we say some relationships are for a reason, some are for a season, some are for a lifetime. Some people aren't supposed to stay. Outgrow, and you outscale people. And there comes a time when you have to look at some women across the room and say, sis, I can't take you with me. Have you had to do that? Have you ever had to do that?
Mm-hmm. I have. And I had to, the person was my boss at the time. And I had to walk away, and I had to quit. Toxic people are just toxic people, and you have to get them out of your life because they get on you. And you also don't want to be associated with those people. Same in my office when I managed. I had some women in my office that I couldn't recruit. I couldn't recruit because everyone said, we're not coming. Your office is a Shark Tank. And, if you can get rid of that person, so they can actually, you move someone out that's toxic of your life out of your office, and it changes the culture of
And
your
that is
entire
horrible.
office. So
And the energy.
I've come across a lot of those women over the years. Yeah.
Sure.
I think circling back to something that Kim Marie said, I think when you feel, that women aren't supporting you, or that you're feeling the raw vibe or jealousy or just whatever the negativity is, I find something that is really helpful is just redirecting that energy into supporting other women and being positive about, what they're accomplishing, and, really spreading the love on social media. And it really just kind of wipes that away, in the same way that focusing on, things to be grateful for really takes away so many of the negative thoughts that you have. It's like a cleanser.
Agreed.
Yeah,
Agreed.
yeah, absolutely. Sometimes we walk in with our defenses up, and there's not really a problem that exists that we've made up in our mind. Isn't that sometimes the situation as well? So I have to ask, and if you've got fur babies or little children around, cover their ears right now, because for just a second, we must talk about the word bitch. How do you think and feel about this word? Is this a word that you are offended by? Is this a word that you use in like when you care with affection? How do you think and feel? Because this is a word that lives within the sisterhood, and you've seen it used in so many different ways. Tell me how that word makes you feel, and do you use that word, and how do you think and feel about it?
Let me have at this. No, I don't use that word. I think it's too simple. It is. There's a lot of different ways that you can describe somebody, and that's just I can't come up with a better option. And if somebody calls me a bitch, I'm pretty flattered. I'm like, okay, so I'm a strong woman that you're threatened by. Great, fine. Doesn't mean we're going to be friends. Doesn't mean we're not. But you've told me what you think of me, and quite frankly, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody
I
else?
have to agree with Mitty. I think my drag queen friends use the term more than I do. And I think some of my, gay boyfriends do more than I do. But yeah, if someone really thinks that I'm, that nasty, then okay, so be it.
Yeah. So it doesn't personally penetrate you when people say the word to you.
Right. As a drag queen and former gay male, I can confirm. But I feel similarly, where it's like I get called it all the time, and I'm like, thank you.
Do you get called it with affection, or do you get called it because
Yes.
people are trying to subtract from you?
Both. I think that I think especially in the gay community, it is kind of a term of endearment, I think, almost. But I think that when you're using it, especially when it's like woman on woman crime, it is that connotation of being intimidated by them or not liking them because they're doing something. And if I'm on your mind for that reason of being powerful or doing something, then I'm doing my job. Yeah, I think it's an interesting a topic. I think that I don't really use it that much, but I mean, I call it a lot, and it's like, especially on social media, like when I'm calling someone out, or I'm, God forbid, using facts, like all of a sudden that makes me a bitch because I know how to read. Like I don't, with comprehension, God forbid. Just like Mitty said, it's the easiest, quickest thing that people can throw out, and that's the first word they go to. And I'm like, we can do better than this.
Yeah. In my world, it's almost as bad as using the C word. So I would not ever say it in a term of endearment. I was not brought up that way. It's a very bad word. And yes, all of my gay boyfriends use it, and they use it in substitute. Instead of saying girl, they say bitch. And I don't, it just kind of goes past me. It's a very bad word to me.
I've only been called a bitch by a girlfriend. I don't think I've ever been called a bitch by anybody else. So, and I may
by a girlfriend, really as in partner girlfriend, or just a friend?
Yeah, no.
As in a lover.
Maybe that's why.
Read some X.
They're walking out the door. Bye, bitch.
It wasn't like that.
I lived in Europe for a long time, and it's in the UK. Everyone's a cow.
Yeah.
And it's somewhat endearing, and it's probably not meant to be quite as edgy as a bitch, but it's like, oh, she's such a cow. Again, it's part of their vocabulary.
That's
and
like the word heifer, like, heifer, So, but I think that it's good for us to talk about it, because if people watch this and they're kind of like, I don't know how women feel about that word. Now I think they have some clarity on how women feel about this word.
Don't use it. Just don't
Like,
use it.
Don't
Yeah,
use it.
yeah.
Like,
Don't use it.
Yeah. Whether, don't refer to me in that way in affection, because you're frustrated and you can't find a more intelligent word. I think we can all come to the agreement that we want to say, like, just don't use it, right?
One quick question.
Agreed.
Yes.
How about in bed?
Oh, well.
Not even.
I
You're
don't know.
going to be my bitch.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Yeah, 'cause there's not-
I'm just asking. It's a valid question.
My relationship.
It's a
Go
great
ask
question.
your wife, Mitty.
What?
Go ask your wife what she thinks.
I know what she thinks.
Of course, Mitty. Question.
So listen, we're almost out of time. It went way too fast. I have to ask you, you're standing here talking to the 18-year-old version of yourself. What do you need her to know?
Say no to the perm. Girl, do not do it. Barbara Streisand looks so much better than you do with it.
Say that again, Nikki?
And yeah, Barbara Streisand looks better in the main event with it than I did when I was 18. Did not work. That's what I would share with my 18-year-old self.
Okay, perfect. Gina, what would you say to your 18-year-old version of yourself?
Well, a quote came to mind, and that is, everything that you want is on the other side of fear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it holds you back, and it really is true. You can push through those, lean into those sharp points, it's all there. Yeah. It takes a while to learn that, though.
Yeah. Urban, 18-year-old version of yourself.
Wow. I was raised in a predominantly white town. I was raised Mormon, so that's where I was at 18. There's so much that I want to say to myself. I think it'd just be like, you're worthy, you're valid, and you belong, and it's just to persevere, and that you're a lot stronger than you think you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you. Mitty, 18-year-old version of yourself.
I'm really struggling with this question because at 18, I was pretty cool. So I'm not sure that I had anything to learn at that point. Maybe a little bit later on, like at 23, I would have more to say.
Let's fast forward you to 23. What would you say to the 23-year-old version of yourself?
I'd say maybe that three-way wasn't the best idea. No, that's not what I would say.
That freeway or that three-way?
Yeah.
Riding on a freeway of love in a pink Cadillac.
I love the fact that either one of the guys that are here moderating, or they are neither one of them, you can see we can see their face right now, because they are all just like beet red and like, what?
Listen, I was trying to decipher if she said three-way or freeway.
Yeah. So the three-way wasn't a great
I was
idea.
thinking she was talking about her driving skills.
Right. Yeah. Well, no, my driving's all right. No, actually, that was a good first Pride Day. It was all right.
Anything else, Mitty?
No, I think I've really dug my hole pretty deep right now, so I'm good.
On a serious note, if I had to go back and talk to my 18-year-old self, I'd say don't limit yourself. I would have never been able to even conceptualize where I am at 56 when I'm 18. Like you can't even picture it. So don't limit yourself. Just Go all the way. There are no boundaries.
Yes, agreed, agreed. How about you, Susan?
You don't know it all. There's lots to learn, and it's all going to get better,
Yeah,
Better, yeah. So that's fair.
whatever your definition of better might be.
and that might shift and change, right? As you shift and change, and that's okay, you know? Yeah. Kim Marie.
I would say be kind to yourself. I have always been my worst critic. I always thought I was fat, or always thought I was, not good enough. I grew up very poor, so you felt like you weren't supposed to be with these type of people or those type of people. So you had to work extra hard. So I think be kind to yourself, because the voices that you're listening to, and there's a lot of external negativity that comes from a lot of people, but at night you're by yourself in bed, and what you're really listening to Mitty said never. What you're really listening to is the voice in your head, and you have to start reprogramming that, and just saying positive things to yourself. I mean, somebody told me about affirmations years ago, and I remember the first time I did one, I thought it was so ridiculous. I didn't really believe what I was saying to myself. So I think you have to just really force yourself to just be kind. Treat yourself like you treat other people. Be more forgiving. Don't have such high expectations, because you set yourself up for failure every time, and you wind up disappointing yourself. And I could have saved a lot of anguish and many, many years if I was speaking to my 18-year-old self right now. I'd be slapping myself around and smacking me down to really just be kind.
Yeah,
That.
good.
Yep.
That's really good. That's good stuff. Melissa, what would you say to the younger version of yourself that would need to hear from you right
I actually wish I had done that three-way.
now? Did you say no
Never
to it?
came
You
up.
just said no? You said no?
I did. I walked away from it. It's sad now.
Yeah.
I have always lived by the premise of do what you love and success and joy will follow. I always have. I was born that way. I don't know why. And I've had 38 different professions.
What?
This is my favorite by far. But every single one I have enjoyed so much. I've had success in each one. And so I've just lived by that premise. And I think everybody should always do that. If you love it, do it.
30.
Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's serving coffee as a barista or selling real estate, whatever. Just do it with passion and follow your passion.
That's fantastic.
And have that three-way, because it's the only
Have
chance you're going
three-way.
to
Just
have.
have it.
Right
Yeah.
now, I wouldn't do a three-way. No
Take
three-ways
that.
at 60. Would not work. I'd have to be on the
Might
bottom.
blow your knee out or something,
Dim the lights.
Get on that Peloton.
Candles.
One candle, one only.
So Babs, what would you share with the younger version of yourself?
I would say, first of all, you are gay. Gay. Do not listen to them. You do not have to wear a bra. You do not have to wear a dress. You are gay, and that's okay. Sober up. And as my sister-in-law from Tijuana says, fuck us. And wine, women, and song is great in moderation, and save your damn money and quit blowing it on wine, women, and song. Keep your investments and get more of them.
And sign a
Good
prenup.
advice.
No,
Sign a
never had to
prenup,
do that. Yeah, haven't had to deal with that.
Once.
Yeah,
Well-
be a lot easier.
Yes. Well, I will share, and I will say that if I could go back to a younger version of myself, whether it's the 18-year-old self or the 21-year-old self or even the 25-year-old self that was completely in denial and was like married to a man and having babies, like what? Like I love my children with everything that I have, and I would not have them if it wasn't for that phase in my life. But I am probably right there with you, Babs, in saying that that I would have said to myself, listen, girl, you need to listen to yourself a little bit differently. Like, there's something that you like, you keep going over there because you like that. Now, so just, stay over there and be true to yourself, because when you do that, you're going to have a more full life, and it is going to be happier, and you will become who you are supposed to be. So if there happens to be any young women or women who are unsure about what their next move is, that's listening to us right now, you know, I think that you just got some of the best advice that you could possibly ever receive from all of these thinking rock stars here. I mean, just amazing women that are sharing their insides with you. I could sit and talk with you all and just keep going and going. And I can't believe that we are at an hour. So I've been told that if we go too much longer, people won't watch it and it'll be too long. But here's the good news. They're going to edit out all that crazy that happened just a second ago, right? So it's going to be all good. I am so grateful. I miss all of you in person. There's nothing that I miss more. Well, yeah, there is. Let me take that back. I miss traveling. But other than traveling, I really miss being on a platform. I miss being on a stage. I miss being up in front of some of my favorite people and making you laugh and being with you and sharing in that way. I am so looking forward to our next time together. If you haven't heard, we are celebrating today at Real Pride as we just formalized a partnership with True Colors. And we are so grateful for the opportunity to partner with Cyndi Lauper and True Colors United and making sure that we are protecting and pouring in. So for those people who you know that need to become a part of who we are and would love to do some work with this amazing organization and contribute to this important work, please send them our way. Tell them to join all the way through Pride Month. 50% of membership dues will go towards True Colors. So we are excited for that and for our relationship going forward. So please make sure that you share that good news and that important work, because we are a charity organization and that is what we are about, is finding opportunity to pour back into other people. I want to thank you. I am so grateful for the opportunity to be with you. I don't throw the word badassery around very lightly. So when I saw all these faces that were going to be on this panel, I was just so grateful for the opportunity to be with all of you. So thank you so much for being so amazing and for sharing a little bit of your time with me and us today, and for sharing so candidly about everything that's going to matter to some of the people that are listening. There's one or two things that have been said today, whether you realize it, that somebody's going to listen to, and it's going to change the way they think about things. So thank you for being your whole self. Nikki, we hope that you feel better sooner rather than later. I think you're like, could you please end this now so I can go back to bed? That's kind of what I read across your face right now. So,
Back to bed.
You look great.
So, I'm going to end this with one more question, and then we can all kind of disconnect. What is your love language? Understanding that, has everyone here read the book, listened to the book, understand the premise of what your love language is and what that is? What is your love language, and how should everyone speak to you in your love language? Where are people getting it or missing it? Anybody?
I think that, I mean, it's not necessarily on the lines of the exact love languages, but sharing music is such a big deal for me. Like whenever I share a song with someone or share a playlist, or me and my friends have like a playlist we share whenever we hear a song that we think makes us think of each other, we'll add it to the playlist. And I think that that's that. And then I guess an actual love language is quality time, for sure.
Time is your love language.
Because we're all busy women in here, and time is money. And if I'm spending my time on you, it's because I care. And I know that vice versa, if someone's spending their time with me, then that's how they show they care.
Yes, yeah. I'll just go across the board here. Gina, real quick, what's your love language?
I would say expression. So the written word is really powerful to me. because I think different things come out when you write than even when you say. So yeah, expression.
Perfect. Mitty, what's your love language?
You know, I read this business and I can't really remember. I think it's like words of affirmation or, you know, humping my leg, whatever it is. If you just show me some love, I'm good.
You are so easy. You are so easy. Kim Marie, what's your love language?
I think for me, it's acts of service. That's always been my love language. A lot of people talk a lot, but actually putting their money where their mouth is, and if they say they're going to do something, do it. So those are the people in my life who are consistent, who always come through. So if I can do that for people and they appreciate that, and there's reciprocity there, and they do it back for me, then we have a very strong relationship. So I guess that would be me.
That's perfect. Melissa, love language.
Mine's very similar to Kim Marie's. I love action. Action speaks louder than words. But I read one the other day that I quite liked. It's we'll figure it out together. That's my kind of love language. And that works on all levels, whether it's passion, love, work, negotiations. Let's just figure it out together.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I love that. Okay. Susan, love language?
I would say gift of service comes first, but the time follows not too far behind that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Wonderful. Babs?
Sorry, I was muted. Touch, in that I'm a little Aspergery, so touching is hard for me. So when I hug somebody, it's a very brave thing for me to do, but it's a way that I'm showing I love you. But also, I never learned anything from listening to myself talk. Listening is also major love language for me.
Yes.
Good one.
That's a really good one. That's a really good one. Thank you for that. And then Nikki, I think did we get you yet?
I don't have any love language right now. But,
Nikki's love language is in her bed, like right.
no, I would think for me,
On the golf course.
to receive and be vulnerable is how I show you that's one of my love languages, vulnerability.
Okay, that's perfect. Well, listen, thank you for sharing your love language with me. I hope that I'll have an opportunity sooner rather than later to turn it right back around and point it at you. And I appreciate you. Thank you for the opportunity. I want you to have a wonderful spring, a wonderful summer. Don't let the market drive you mad. Go out and find listings, because buyers right now are a challenge. So go out and find inventory, let sellers know that it's the absolute best time to sell that there ever has been, and enjoy this season. Protect your mental health. And I think this is a wonderful panel. So I love the fact that you're all dropping your email addresses in here. And I think that this should be like an ongoing chat that just keeps going, because this is a wonderful group of people. So thank you so much for making the time to be with me today. And
Thank you, Sherry.
Real Pride, a bit of your time. I appreciate you all so much.
Oh, we appreciate you. Nice to meet everybody.
Nice to meet everybody. Thank you.